My next guest sets foot in the MMA cage for the very first time in 2023 in search of his third professional win. That will go down at CFFC 118, and he joins me right now. He is Ian the Hammer Allston. Ian, thank you so much for being here. It's been like 5 or 6 months since I last talked to you. You look crisp. You look great. Good to see you.
Thanks, Ty, and thank you for having me on again. I love being on the show, and I'm ready to chop it up a little bit.
Yes, sir. Well, I first and foremost, there are a couple things I wanted to start off with. I saw you and Jake Noker do an interview after the Valdez fight, and you two really broke down very it was a very technical conversation. Like you guys are talking about the fights, you're talking about this is kind of like the lead up. This is kind of like what ended up happening. This is kind of where things went to shit for me. And I kind of wanted to ask that question. I don't know if this is a compliment for you that I have or what, but it's like you went out there, you did an interview coming off of an L a couple of weeks after it had happened. Not a lot of people will do that. I'm just curious, was it cathartic in a way? What kind of motivated you to do an interview coming off of a loss? Because that's not always easy to do.
So the way I kind of framed it for myself, first things first, I am so grateful that in my amateur career I faced adversity. You know what I mean? I have always been, and this is not, I don't mean to be self-aggrandizing, but from the moment I debuted as a heavyweight in an MMA cage, I had people saying that I was a prospect. And it's like, what that means, because I was fighting under Daniel Gracie, because I was coming from the pedigree of gym that I was at, because I started off my career with a kind of a brutal finish for an amateur fight. I had people saying this kid is going to, be a good fighter. And really quickly, I started facing really tough guys, like the other tough guys. And I was 21 years old, 22 years old, really young going into it. Had only done kickboxing before that. And I took L's, you know what I mean? And I think an amateur career where you take at least one hard L is really, really important and really, really helps as a formative experience for a young fighter, because I've known guys who have gone undefeated for their career, and then a loss makes them spin out. You know what I mean? It is a tough thing to deal with. When you kind of a fight is, for all the preparation and all of the skill involved and all of the hard work and all of the everything involved, a fight also has a healthy dose of luck. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it's a healthy dose of luck that goes into a victory as well. Just not getting caught with the wrong thing, not leaving your chin up at the right, you know what I mean? Natural human physiological reactions combined with timing, combined with all of these things that eventually we come together and we call luck. So I've seen guys who have gone had these amazing, amazing careers and then take a loss, and it's really, really hard for them. For me, I lost to Greg Velasco, who is now the Cage Fury heavyweight champ, was on PFL Challenger Series, or was supposed to be. And I lost to Raiden Kovac, who is a great guy, and he's on PFL Challenger Series now. Those are studs. I took those losses to studs. And they taught me really important lessons about humility, about how to take a loss, the skill of taking a loss, and how to rebound from a loss. Because my best performances, I fought 5 times last year. That's a lot, one of them was short notice. The others were, and just to wrap up this thought, because I know I'm rambling, but, I fought 5 times. I went 4-1. That's the way I framed it for myself. That's a good year. 4-1. That is a really good year for how much I fought. And it wasn't a bad loss. Obviously a TKO KO loss is bad, but I dropped Bill with a spinning back or a Superman punch, got a monster highlight, landed a spinning back fist, threw my wheel kick, had a fun time. And even John Morgan at the end of that fight, I watched the commentary afterwards. He was like, that's a disappointing loss because that performance was great. So the things that I needed to fix, I'm fixing. And I'm ready to get out there and show that I'm really with this shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, Ian. I think one of the things that was really fascinating was how I found out the news. Like I'm going through social media and I see on Instagram CFFC makes the announcement that you're going to be fighting Daiqwon Buckley. Daiqwon Buckley, I know a little bit about him. I know that he's at Sanford or Killcliff now. I know that's what that's called. He is. I've seen him compete a few different times, and I will tell you this: I think that this guy is one of your most difficult fights that you've had in your career to date. I put him up there with Velasco and Kovacs. I think it's that caliber of a fight. He's done a lot of really impressive things in his career. I will be blunt. Ian, I know you could have taken an easier fight. I know those guys are out there. I know you could have fought a Dave and Buster's bouncer. I know you could have fought a lot of other guys that would be a layup win. You're going in there and you're fighting a guy who I think is very highly skilled, Daiqwon Buckley. Tell me about like what was going on in your mind. Like obviously you and your coaches, you and your corner, you're talking about these matchups, and that's a discussion you have internally before you put pen to ink to paper.
Yeah.
What is it that compelled you to want to take this fight against Daiqwon Buckley?
Cage Fury sent me a few names. That's how it goes. You get sent a couple of people. Do you want to fight this guy? Do you want to fight this guy? And I watched the tape for all of the names they sent me. I have a lot of respect for Daiqwon. My friend Vaughn, who I've used to train at Daniel Gracie's, has cornered Daiqwon. They're good friends. I apologized to Vaughn when I made the announcement, because I was like, hey man, I know that's your boy. I'm sorry. But it's just business. You know what I mean? I like Daiqwon's style. I know he's a tough fight. I've never run from tough fights in my entire career. Before, in my amateur career, I basically just said yes to whoever they offered. You know what I mean? Like I never was like, let me look at the other names and see what's there. No, if somebody offered me a fight, I took that fight. And I think that's the kind of fighter that I am. I also think that with him being on the same caliber as Raiden and as Greg, I'm a different fighter than when I fought those guys by a wide margin. Mm-hmm. I've done the work to improve everywhere. The things that I failed on with Greg, it was a strength and wrestling issue. You know what I mean? I improved there. My strength and conditioning is different. My wrestling is at a different level now. With Raiden, it was a jiu-jitsu, but it was also a mental issue. My head wasn't in the right place for that fight. I've gone on record saying that before. And that's a part of the fight game, is like learning to put your head in the right place. I had a lot going on and I didn't know how to reconcile that with my career, essentially. And so the work that I've done personally and the work that I've done as a professional, as a craftsman, I think I need to show it's not a pride thing. It's a professional courtesy to everybody with eyes on me, that I am a high-level fighter. I belong on a world stage. And here I am fighting a guy who is also like a blue-chip prospect for heavyweights, and I can beat him because if he belongs on the world stage, and he has been with PFL, then I belong on the world stage. And it's as simple as that. You know what I mean? I need to show that this is not a fluke. I did not win because I fought guys who weren't tough. I win because I do the work and because that's the caliber of athlete that I am.
Ian, I'd love to kind of, without asking you the cliche, like, questions that chip away at your game plan. I don't ask questions about game plans. I want to see this fight for myself, just like everybody else on April 1st. I'm not going to ask you those questions, but tangentially, I will ask you, what do you need to do in order to get a win over Buckley? Like, what are some of the things that you're expecting out of yourself when you set foot in the cage here in a couple of weeks?
I just got to be a fucking dog. I have to be comfortable with humility, which is the situation that I've been put in by taking a loss. I have to be comfortable with the fact that there is a good chance that if we can't kill each other quick, this is going to be a grindy dog fight. And we're going to beat the piss out of each other, man. If this goes out of the first round, then it is going to be a dog fight. And luckily, we've both been in dog fights before. So the bottom line is I think that the most exciting thing about this is that it is going to be a good fight. I think that's the most. This is going to be an entertaining fight for the people at home watching and the people in the crowd. And I think people are going to talk about this fight, no matter how it goes. What I need to do, like I said, is be comfortable with the fact that, we're both coming off of losses. We're both in a place where we need to show that we're still in it. And it's basically going to be a battle of wills at that point. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you this much. I won't even talk about game plan or his skill set even. I'm comfortable with humility. That's a thing I own.
Absolutely. Ian, you're the man. I wish you luck on April 1st. I want to give you the final word. If there are any shout outs or thank yous that you'd like to get out of the way, I'd like to give you the opportunity to do that before we sign off.
As usual, thank you to my family. This is a scary thing that I do. It was scary to watch me lose. I know that. Thank you to my fans who support me. Thank you to my wonderful girlfriend who puts up with a lot as far as my scheduling and the work that I put in. Right now, I'm literally it's like 10 p.m. and I'm going to teach another class, and I'll be home at like 11 tonight, 11:30. So, and finally, last thing, big thank you to Shelton Graves, the Gravedigger, and Alex Myers, who have done so much work with me this camp in getting me ready. Those two guys are integral to the whole process, and I'm really, really grateful to have them in my corner.
And Ian, I am grateful for your time as always. Thank you for being on the show. Look forward to having you back very, very soon, my friend.
Thanks, Ty. Hopefully we'll talk about a win.